Welcome back to the Duel podcast with your host Elisa Solomon and myself Megan Hines, where every week we talk the challenge, and once again we're back to talk the Challenge 40 by the Eras, where Era 1, they've just been down bad. They're on literally the last legs at this point. Bad backs and all. People are on IR. It's just bad, but they're still there and kicking while everybody else is at full strength and just changing up the game.
Yeah, I felt bad for Darrell and the rest of the old gang, but honestly, it's the cards that was played for them. Ain't really nothing I could, you know, do about it.
Yeah. And this week's targets heading into this episode were Tina and Darrell, along with Aviva Nehemiah, Naya and Jordan, and Michelle and Kylan. And Tina was like, at this point, because it's not that many of us on Era 1, being a target is just switching a badge because we're just like, hey, your turn, your turn, your turn, because it's literally just Darrell and Derek and Tina and and Rachel. Um, Also, they went to Club Castle Kitty for Devin's birthday, and I just wanted to mention this part of it because some people who were attendees to said birthday were cross dressing. And it was very funny because Cara was Carl, who did a speech for Devin's birthday, and Ryan and Derek were the adult entertainment of the night.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was fine. Like the vibe of it, obviously gave like what we love about the challenge and the funness of it and the partying and things like that. Um, would I've liked to see Derek's bare ass? Not really, but that's what we got. And so, you know what? Do your thing. Like, do your thing. Everyone seemed like they had a good time. They enjoyed it. It's something that can have the house being bonded while they're, over there filming the show. Go ahead. But yeah.
It was just funny too because like Jordan's like, if I had an actual bachelor party, I'd know who to call. And I was like, y'all have fun. I love it. And Cara was like I said, Carl, and I was like, that's the most hilarious outfit that she could put together, as her alter ego. And then Tori was dressed as Devin with a weird afro, so that was way cool. Um, like I mentioned, the Bruce brothers of Era One and Derek and Darrell are still kicking. Darrell and his back is still there. Derek and his broken knees are in good spirits. Heading into the daily, and Darrell's like, "Hey, if it's heights, tell me to stop acting like a bitch." And lo and behold, this daily that we had was a heights challenge where they were literally jumping off the side of a building. How serendipitous is that?
I mean, we mentioned it last week where we saw the preview. Honestly, it was gonna happen, but Darrell's not the only one who has had heights issues. I mean, he's well known for it. We've seen Naya DQ'd on some heights challenges as well. So it was kind of like in between the two of them trying to see like who will do what. But the thing with Darrell having to do it is that literally everyone else, it was like a lotto shot. Like whoever gets their name pulled out of a hat was going in. And it's only 4 people. So Darrell had to go in. That was the hard part, seeing Darrell like, damn, like everyone else gets an option. People get to, sit on the side. And I literally have to do this. But, Darrell has come back this season at least, conquering his fears, saying that he's going to, make his kids proud and do it for his kids. He really had no choice because if he DQ'd, that would have put his team down. But I do think that if the team aspect wasn't there, Darrell still might have given it a chance. And if he didn't get it, he probably would have just sat it out. But I'm glad that Darrell was able to conquer this fear at least and get it done.
Yeah, because even with everyone else, like Naya DQing, she also was able to stick up and get through that as well. This challenge was called Leap of Faith, where being a time challenge 4 at a time, they'll jump off the edge of a helipad to collect flags that correspond to different colors, and they'll have to solve a puzzle that also matches those flags, and the fastest team to get the puzzle done will win. And with Era 1, literally only having 4 players, all of them had to jump. There is no choice, there's no back, like you said. Of other eras, it was at random by picking of PJ. And in Era 2, the people that had to do the jump were Bananas, of course, and Laurel, Nehemiah, and Aviv. In Era 3, it was Jordan, Naya, Devin, and Tori. In Era 4, Josh, Jenny, Theo, and Casey. And Era 4 started us off where Josh was the first person to go and grab a flag. He got the dark blue flag. But the pullback to bring him back up to the ledge was very hard for the rest of the three to pull Josh. At one point, Josh was just dangling there, and Carl jokingly was like, "Oh, we lost Josh because we don't know where he is."
Yes. Did somebody say like lay off the cheeseburgers at one point? Like they was going in on him because he jumped down real quick, and then they were really struggling to pick his ass up. Which I mean, Josh is a bigger guy, so I'm not really surprised that they had an issue with that. But I thought that was hilarious. Not to fat shame or anything, but I just thought that in the context of that was hilarious. That they were struggling to pick Josh up, but nonetheless, I think that the way that they had to pick Josh up just killed a lot of their time. And I don't think they expected that. I thought that they thought that it may have been a lot simpler than what it was. And so they really struggled trying to get Josh up, which was surprising. I did like the aspect of them like letting us know like in between how much time it was, because I feel like sometimes we'd be guessing about like time. So I did like that also, like them putting that on the bottom of the screen. And I think it was like maybe 30 to 40 minutes had elapsed since they had picked Josh up. Like it was a good amount of time that they took to
Mm.
pick him up, which I was honestly surprised about. But once they got him up, everyone, was going and flying down. And, then they had to get to the puzzle. And I mean, I think that was like the easiest part of it. Like running, getting to the puzzle, like that was the quicker part, I would say. I mean, I don't know what Olivia was doing, which was probably absolutely nothing. But like, that's just the luck of the draw this week. Like some people got to just breeze by and do absolutely nothing, and some people had to work for this shit.
Yeah. Like at one point too, after Jenny like grabbed her flag and was dangling, she was talking to herself, and Cara was like, she's just talking about guinea pigs, and when they could hear her talking to herself and she was dangling, and they're like, we're just gonna wait and just talk. But they were they did really decent, and Theo and Casey were very quick with Era 4 and getting those flags back up. It was mainly a breeze, but then also it was very interesting too because they're the group that are the gym bros and gym girls. You would think that they would be better about pulling one another back up because they do weights and they do other things in the gym. You think they would have that momentum to pull people up? Because I would think like Theo could really pull Josh by himself. I don't know, but that was a really funny point that someone brought up from one of the other eras. And Era 2 went next, and Bananas was the first to jump. He got the light blue and the bonus flags. Laurel was after him. And they were really good about getting their flags. And Derek was really the MVP of their team this week because he really got the puzzle done really fast.
Yeah, sorry. Um Derek, which not surprising, I mean, because we've seen him, in the past, especially last season, with his individual performances, like really going in. And so I wasn't surprised to see him do well. And I think in the context of what Bananas was bitching about later on in the episode, Derek holds his own weight. Like he doesn't really need anyone to validate what he's doing. I think also because he's an extension of Ryan, that also helps Ryan in his instance of being on the show and being in this situation. So I'm not mad at Ryan floating on by and being with his sis and like kikiing, because what else is he supposed to do? Like you get to have all the relationships in here any other season, and now someone has that upper hand and now you're upset. I can't with Johnny on that one, but shout out to Derek for getting it done.
Yeah. And at one point, Aviv was like gone with the wind because like Aviv is like a few inches taller. Like she's an inch taller than me. She's 5 foot. And she was worried about the jump to get to the flags, but she made it. So props to Aviv as well because she's one of the shorter women on the cast. And for her to get up that high and get to the flag, good props to her. Um, Arrow 1 went next, and Tina was first to grab 2, but she also grabbed the penalty one, so obviously that was harping on their time. And then it was time for Darrell to do his jump. And like we said, Darrell and heights do not mix, but he locked in and was able to jump and grab the bonus flags for them as well. And I was like, oh, yay, cool. He conquered it because, you know, the real heights, like I said, don't go along. And that helped him really well. Also, Derek was hopping on his legs. So that man is still hurt, but he was really good to keep going forward with getting through this daily.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of Derek still being here is, and I don't think they've really disclosed what the injury is. Maybe I missed it, but it just seems like a leg injury. I know we saw that Darrell and Derek was having a pep talk before the challenge started, and they were just like, we gotta do it. Like Darrell's like, I'm getting up on my back, you're getting over, your leg being injured, but we gotta, get this done. And I'm thinking, why is Derek still doing this when he's literally hopping? Like this is not making any sense to me. Someone give us like a diagnosis. Like I don't want to play doctor on TV, but somebody needs to tell us what exactly is going on with Derek, because it's a little uncomfy for me to watch him hop around on one leg. And I know they ass don't have that much insurance. So I don't know what's going on here. Like, does he need to check? Do they just want somebody else to have another body there? I'm not sure what's happening. But shout out to Derek for even continuing to do this. I know Rachel was like, she would rather have his heart than his 2 legs. Girl, that's
You
cute.
need both.
And
You
put
need
that
all
on the
three.
mirror. Put on a post note and post it, and make sure you pep talk yourself up. But that's not gonna work. Like it's only you and him.
Yeah, because thinking about it, because when he got his leg injury, was last week, right? Last week, the last 2 weeks, Brad was still there. So they could have been like, oh, if Derek's leg was badly hurt to the point where he couldn't compete and continue on, they could have just like said, oh, we'll just wipe this one clean and Derek can go home. But I don't think Derek wanted to leave. I think that's also why he's still there. He's like, I'm just gonna push through it, the pain. Like I gotta stay here because if it was me and I know I broke my leg, the money be damned. I don't care. My health is more important. I'm dipping out. But he wanted to stay and finish it out, and he was really on his Clay and Kobe. Like I'm gonna stay in this and just keep going. I'm like I commend you, but my guy, you you gotta go because it's gonna make it worse for you in the end.
I mean, yeah, I just don't know why he's still there. To be honest, that's just my point of view.
No, I totally get it. But Tina was able to get through the puzzle as well. At one point, she was freaking out about doing it because she's the only person to do the puzzle by themselves, really. And she was able to figure it out because she was like, "Oh, it's one piece missing." She got it done, and she was good. And Era 3 went last, and Devin was able to grab the bonus flag and the green flag, and they got their flags in a good amount of time as well. And Avery and Corey were able to get the puzzle done. And Corey don't do well with puzzles, so I was very shocked. But he had Avery to help him out. But they got the puzzle done in a good amount of time. And for the losers, it was very neck and neck between Era 4 and 1 because obviously Era 4 took so long with trying to pull Josh up that I was harping on their time. Era 1, I thought they actually kind of did decent, but because Tina was just by herself with the puzzle, it took them a little bit longer. But surprisingly, but unsurprisingly, the losing group is Era 4. So Kylan and Michelle are going straight to elimination. You're on mute.
Hello?
You're good.
I was talking this whole time. It was on. Um, yeah, no, I was saying that surprisingly that Tina getting the flag and having the 5 minute deduction, I was surprised that they still even did not lose in this situation and that Era 4 lost. But like I mentioned earlier, they took a lot of time getting Josh's ass up there. So Era 4 loses, and I'm just glad that it's not Era 1. But now the only issue is having the fact that Era 3 won and Naya's relationship between Nehemiah and also with Kyland. Now that puts a strain on trying to figure out who's going to win for who's going to go in. It's either Era 2 or Era 1. And so that's where we get the conflict of this nomination this week. And I was just kind of like, I wish that they would get a break, everyone, because it's only 4 people. At the end of the day, if I'm era 3 or 4 and I'm trying to make connections with people, uh, I mean, I would want to go against the people who seem the most beat up. Even though it's an easier route, even though it's an easier way to get through it, you still have a lot of people in era 2 left that are strong and bananas. Even Nehemiah, we can throw that in there. Obviously, era 4, we know what they have going on. So it's like I kind of, if I'm era 3, if I was Jordan and I'm trying to weigh that option more of who can beat out era 4 and then also try to see what we can do with era 2, maybe work something out there because era 1 is not a threat like in any way shape or form. So the longer I keep them there, the longer they can just be there so that I can use those numbers to get over. But obviously um Jordan and Naya had other plans and other reasons why, and you know we got what we got.
Yeah, the personal friendships really had things torn. But Rachel was really the voice. Like what you were saying was really Rachel's campaign for Era One to get basically the week off for them to lay off of them because it is more beneficial to go at another big dog of a team in Era Two and get one of those other big players out from those teams because who else is gonna like Era One? I get they're on their last legs, obviously. But it is more beneficial to keep them around because even if like they lose, like what else can they really offer you at this point? It's just now, okay, trying to weed out who do you want to see later on once we get past the team part either. Poof, like at this point, with Air One just being depleted, it's easier to figure out of those other groups, okay, who are we glean from those and get those people out. But they're not thinking about that. They're just thinking about keeping those three teams strong because of the interconnectivity of the relationship that they do have, and it's just not being that great. But in the chamber, Nehemiah did say he wasn't going to hold the decision personal if he was to be picked. Uh, Darrell asked again, like, "Hey, I need a break. Everyone needs a break." Tina was like basically getting emotional because she's in Vietnam. She's half Vietnamese. She was pulling that card like I. This is a full circle moment for me, but it is what it is. Y'all figure it out. And Kylan was like, I don't have a preference for who y'all pick. But I'm ready to dive to this, and I respect both of our competitors, but I'm just ready to go in and compete. And it was just really left in Naya and Jordan's hands to figure it out. But they were like, it's kind of a no brainer because Naya was not gonna choose Nehemiah. That's her brother. She's like, I'm pick. I. It's unfortunately she went to Tina and it was like, hey, it's y'all. And Tina blew gassed it. Tina went off on Jordan mainly because she was like, Jordan's doing this and it's like, I don't like it. I'm going off.
I mean, Tina did what she does best because I don't blame her either in this situation. Like, they're literally on their last leg. And I'm not saying that they need to catch a break all the time, but honestly, like, for me, it would have been just easier for them to have chosen era two rather than era one in this situation. I understand Naya's relationship with Nehemiah, which is plays a role. I mean, yes, but like we got to figure out something else because at this point in the stage of the game, like it's not that deep for me, I would say. But obviously it's different for her being there. And she said that she has a relationship with Darrell, so I don't want to dismiss Darrell just because they're depleted. Like she also took into account that she has a relationship with both Darrell and Tina, and so it was hard for her to make a decision. I feel like it was more on Jordan. I don't really know if we got a full conversation of what Jordan and Naya's decision making came to, just that we know that Nehemiah was cool with uh, Naya, and that was basically it. And obviously, Kylan is automatically going in, and she's cool with him, so she's going to take his account more into play than anything else. So I just thought it would suck for Darrell, and kind of wish that he didn't end up in this situation this week. But again, Tina going off, good stuff. I just love Tina down, and she wasn't wrong. Like she had a right to be upset and angry and going off on them because what else is new? And I think that Rachel, although trying to campaign and lawyer up to try to, get people to not vote for them a little too late. Like she had that conversation with Nehemiah and basically was like, hey, if you guys go in, like we'll have your back, vice versa. And Nehemiah was like, this conversation should have been had. Like we've already been picking targets, we've already been doing this and doing that. Where was this conversation 4 to 5 weeks ago? And no shade, Nehemiah is correct because now at this point you're looking to really cover your ass and get at the end. Like you really have no hope left. Like it's literally only you, Rachel, because Derek is hopping on one leg. So the whole team is Rachel, which is insane to say.
Which is really crazy because we started off with a good group of people. Like CT's gone. Did you really have CT being gone 7 episodes into the season?
7 episodes, no. He was gone in like five, honestly, right? Because he wasn't there last week.
Yeah,
So he was
yeah,
gone in 5 weeks actually. So I was honestly surprised when that happened when he went against Nehemiah to lose. I was not expecting for him to be out of the house so quickly. But I don't think any of them really did. Like everyone was really banking on like that being like a strong era. Even if the other people would have gone, I would have chosen Brad to leave before CT. Just being honest. So it really doesn't hold up well. And obviously Derek got injured on the gig. It's not like he brought in this injury with him. So it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. But I do think that Rachel trying to lawyer up now and campaign, you're a little too late, Mama. You should have did this when you saw CT leave, honestly.
yeah. Because I feel like when the season first started, Era One had connections with people in Era Two, but not everyone did. Like the only connections that they had in Era Two was CT and Kara, CT, Bananas. Like a lot of stuff wasn't really like put together. It was like some unspoken relationships, but like the people who haven't really been here as much, like Rachel, like she could have went to work earlier to like also help them later on in the game, like at this point. But like you said, at this point it's too late because we could have had something in place beforehand. But now it's really looking bleak. And it's just I get it. Now she got to lock in just for herself. She got to play her own game. and rep Arrow One to the best of her ability. Like she really about to be in. I mean, if by proxy by him, if she can't win a daily moving forward by herself, she's going in at every chance because those other eras are gonna throw her in, whether it's her by herself or her of Derek. It was like, good luck and Godspeed to her. Also, we kind of mentioned it earlier where Johnny called out Ryan for not nominating himself, but like I mentioned to you, like before we even started, like Ryan's not getting put in because Bananas has been a threat this whole time to everyone else. Ryan's just there, chilling, maxing, relaxing, because he's not a threat. They don't see him as a threat. He's not going to volunteer to go in. That's not the system that your team has created. Because you're on that team, you're going to be the one to be thrown in. And unfortunately, Nehemiah's going to get thrown in too because who are like no one's really caring about Derek and Ryan respectfully because they're nice people and they're cool. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I get Johnny's point, but honestly, right message, wrong messenger. Like every other challenge you are on, you have the ability to use your quote unquote relationships and friendships and slide all the way through. Ryan and Derek is just doing the same at this point, and they're taking advantage of it. And honestly, if you can be the face of going down, they'll gladly go up, have you go up there too. It's nothing really to them to have to go down. Like why are they sacrificing themselves at this point? I get Johnny's point of putting it out there, playing that mind trick game of like saying it out loud so that people can notice and be like, yo, at some point, these two little people gotta go up there, like, like y'all gotta nominate at least. Y'all gotta do something, y'all gotta make something shake. Because we keep putting ourselves up or we keep getting nominated and y'all are just skating on bys. Like, and they're not really a threat. The only threat really there is Derek, to be honest. Like Ryan, you cool, but you ain't really a threat to nobody in this game. It's actually Derek. So Derek being by proxy with Ryan is like helping him in the long run because I feel like the longer that Derek goes on, the more that he's like a sneaky kind of underdog pick that can actually get far.
Yeah, and like they're a package deal, and because like they are cool people, especially on the era, no one's gonna say anything. It's gonna get tricky when eventually we do get out of the team aspect of it. I feel like if we even like get to that part of the season where we get out of that aspect, but they're chilling, max relaxing. The girls on the team are not gonna say nothing. It's just Bananas just gonna keep causing ruckus, and we'll see if something sticks if he does. But that's it. We also go to the arena, and the picks, obviously, we already know, are Darrell and Tina going against Kyland and Michelle, and they are playing. The way I wrote it, I wrote it wrong, but it's like I said boxophobia, but it's like boxtrophobia or something like that. But basically, the goal of this elimination is to escape boxes by pushing the obstacles and doing math to unlock a lock at the end. And the first person who can do that for each heat will win and stay in the game. The first group was Tina and Michelle. They were both very neck and neck within the box and do the math portion at the end of it. But Michelle got to win. That was pretty quick and easy elimination to really go through.
I mean, Tina's come back in the best shape of her life that I've seen her so far in this later era that we've seen Tina. So Tina breezing on by, I was not surprised for her getting past that first part of it. It's honestly the math that I was just like hoping that wouldn't trip her up. Ultimately, it did. I mean, there's nothing else to really like analyze about it. Tina tried. She was trying to do her math. She was going back and forth trying to figure it out, and Michelle got there first. That was just the end of it. And so, shout out to Michelle for winning. I mean, we got a lot of Michelle this week, and to be honest, it went right over my head. Like, congratulations, little girl, and you fight to live another week.
Yeah, gorgeous gowns, I would say, to Michelle. But congratulations. They didn't get Kyland and Darrell, and Darrell had like a good lead on Kylan throughout the box. At one point, Kylan got stuck in the box, but he really came back and was able to he got the math done really quickly. But Darrell decided to wipe down the sand, make a smooth surface, try and like write out his math equations. Trying to make a smooth surface cost him in the end. And Kylan was able to get his second win against Darrell in the end.
Not sure what Darrell was thinking. I really can't even describe or express to begin. Like, I have no words for Darrell this week, honestly. Like every other time Darrell loses, I'm like, you know what, damn, this happened, that happened. But literally, Darrell had the upper hand in this situation. And I know, someone was saying in their confessional, like Darrell is like an underdog. He's smarter than what people think he is. And I really do think that Darrell can do better than what he's shown so far. But honestly, that moment right there, I don't know where he was at mentally with it. Like, I really can't even I really cannot describe what the hell Darrell was doing in that moment, but it was such a lapse of judgment from him that I'm over it at this point. Like I love Darrell down, but boo, what you doing? Like what are you literally doing for someone like you have nicknamed the calculator? For you to take your time like that and try to smooth out the sand and go through that process when you literally all you need is your hand and just your imagination at this point. Figure it out. But you did not need to do all of that. I'm not sure what Darrell was even thinking, and it really just is like it's annoying because like Darrell, what the hell did you come back for? What was all this? I'm confident. I'm doing this for this. Da, 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 ba, 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 ba. And literally in that moment, I feel like he had to win. And even after he lost, like he was just like, bro, the math was right there mentally. Like it wasn't even that hard. You didn't have to do too much. So I'm not sure where Darrell fell in his judgment of trying to figure out how to do things. I don't know if it was just the adrenaline of it, but it is disappointing to see Darrell lose again. Honestly, Kylan, shout out to him for actually getting it done and winning. Like it wasn't as harsh as it was last season with the mercenary thing, but this is a hard loss for Darrell, to be honest.
Yeah, that lapse in judgment is a really bad blow. I feel like to Darrell, like he was doing so well, and it's just that one moment, just threw it off. And with him leaving, it's literally 1.5 person left on Arab one because I gotta get Derek. I gotta give Derek his props, but Derek is halfway out the door with his legs not being well. And if Darrell stayed, they would have had like a better chance to like stay more afloat. But now that he's gone, now Era One is really like down and out. That's how I feel at this point. Cause like I get it, like yeah, Darrell is really disappointed with this, but looking at it now moving forward, it's like dang, Era One is really on the last two legs. Like one, well, like I said, 1.5.
Yeah, it's really two legs. It's just Rachel because Derek is out the picture. Like I don't even know why we're counting him. And even though, in the preview we see him go against Corey and him doing some kind of challenge that looked similar to something that he had did like 20 years ago. We'll see if it's what I think it is. But yeah, I mean, it's just Rachel. And
Yeah.
Rachel obviously is going in as another target again. We get to get the targets this time. Derek actually nominates himself, which finally somebody else kind of steps up to the plate and nominates himself. But shout out to Derek for doing that. We get Kara again as a target. Then we go to Era 3. Avery nominates herself. Devin, we had that whole little scene with Corey and Devin going back and forth where I understand Corey's point of him being upset that Devin isn't trying to be in the rotation. But I think a little bit of last week why Bananas was, you know, trying to say like, Michelle, Devin may be using you. This is like a point of it. It's just like now you have a relationship that is now using to your benefit in terms of she's not going to say your name. You're probably not going to say her name when it comes down to it. So now you're just leaving your team in a situation where they have to put themselves up for nomination. So Corey once again goes in as a target. I feel like that's going to come back in a big way. He's going to start arguments once again with the girls, which you put yourself in that situation, Corey, because you could have had numbers in this game, but you chose your side. So stick with it. And then the last one, I don't feel bad for Jenny. Actually, I'm lying. I would lie if I say I do not feel bad. Uh, you got mute ass Casey in the corner, and obviously Olivia ain't saying shit. So Jenny once again is a target. Theo, one eyed and all, decides to step up, and
This
it's just funny that Casey literally hasn't said anything this whole time. Like, if you want to talk about people who should have really be stepping up low key in elimination, because I feel like Casey would do fine in elimination and putting herself in that situation, she should be a person to actually do it. But of course she's not going to do it, at least at this point. I don't know when she's going to step up. I feel like she's going to come in at one of these weeks and be like, oh, I'll do it now. And it's kind of like, girl, you could have did this a couple weeks ago, because Jenny's doing it 3 different times is literally insane. But shout out to Jenny for coming back each time though.
Yeah, no, when Theo did this, I'm sorry, that took me out. I was like, he's like, I'll do it, because it was time again for him to be a target, anyways. So it was just his time to do that. I will say, I don't know what Corey expected of Devin not saying anything, because, like you said, Devin has a relationship with Michelle. She wasn't gonna say it. It was fine. Like, it's cool. I don't know why he didn't. I don't know why he getting mad that that man didn't do nothing. It is what it is. Um. So we'll just see what happens with how these targets pan out. It was funny too, because like people are like, "Oh, why Kyle and you and Kara?" Well, he's cool with Laurel, but I'm like, ain't there somebody else on that team that could have been a target again? But that ain't my business. But people are just overanalyzing some of Kylan's picks with these targets, but I'm like, it is what it is. It's okay. It's cool. The next week, like we said, Derek and Corey are gonna go at it. And Rachel is going to have to lock in again too. So we'll see how next week goes. But with that, we're going to get into some of the tweets from this episode. The first tweet is actually an interaction between Naya and Tina, because they woke up this morning going back and forth on Twitter. I woke up this them was going back and forth. But the first tweet is, y'all watching the episode of the challenge though? What's the giving? But that's what Naya tweeted. Tina replied back, entitlement. Naya said, elaborate. Tina said, well, watch the most recent episode of the challenge on MTV. That back and forth, like, not even just that, but like everything else that happened this morning, which is hilarious to me. But they're cool. But it was just hilarious.
I mean, Tina's entitled to her opinion, and so is Naya. I feel like they both have their right to be upset in the situation. It's really no wrong answer for me, in terms of them getting their points across.
Yeah. And the next tweet, Corey complaining about how he's on the bottom of the team and no one has his back when he willingly threw Amanda in and handed the numbers to Tori and Devin and the River Portland group.
That's literally what I just said. Like,
Yeah.
Corey, you chose your side, stick with it.
Like, you know what? I'm just going to not. I'll have more words for that man at another time when his comeuppance comes. So I know it's going to come soon. The next tweet, Naya said, yep, maybe we should just go ahead and finish Era 1 off. She's hilarious, unintentionally.
I mean, I don't think it was unintentional, but sort of kind of was, but it happened, and she made her choice. So
Yep. And with that, that are all the tweets from this week's episode.
and that's the recap for this week for episode 7. Thank you guys for listening. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can at Duel Alliance Pod. You can follow us individually. You can follow Megan at Mix and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. If you're listening to this podcast, you can watch this on YouTube at Duel Lines Podcast. We'll be back next week to discuss more of the challenge, season 40. Have a good week, guys. Bye.
Bye.